Hello my little goobers, welcome back to my art channel, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Ray or Booker5, whichever one you guys want to call me by. I honestly really don't care. But today is a little bit special. Today we are doing something a little bit different than what I usually do on my art channel, and that is doing a art supply product review. And not only is this the first time I'm doing a product review, this is the first time I'm actually affording and being able to actually use an alcohol-based markers. For the past, 5 years of my life, I've been using the water-based markers, the Crayola markers. I first started out with a Magicite set of markers, and then I worked my way up to the Tombos, and now I worked my way up to the alcohol-based markers. And today I'm reviewing the very, very popular, very famous, very well-known Ohuhu Markers. And let me tell you right now, people, when I got that Amazon package of the markers today, or that other day, or 2 weeks ago basically, I was overjoyed. Like, it was such a nice feeling to, look at the markers. Everything looks so aesthetically pleasing. I love the pastel colored caps. Even though they're not really 100% accurate, they still look so pretty to look at, and they were, I like the lettering and everything, and it all just looks so pretty, and I still love the markers after 2 weeks of using them. And I also want to clarify that these markers were not sent to me by Ohuhu. My mother, bless her soul, bought these for me for doing good in school. So thank you, Mom, for giving me the markers so I can do a review on them. Anyway, let's get back onto the topic of the markers. This set comes with 120 alcohol-based markers. It comes with a 10% off coupon code, coupon card, not really a code, for all of their products, everything on their store online. So if you guys want to go check that out, there'll be a link down below. And all these sets of markers come with that 10% coupon code, so I think that's really generous of the company to do. Not only that, but on the back of that coupon code, there is a frequently asked questions site on that card, and on that card, there is a section where it talks about, what happens if there's a marker bleeding everywhere? What happens if there's markers exploding everywhere? What if there's one that's, missing from your set? What if there is duplicates all over the place and, you don't have all the right colors everywhere? Well, according to Ohuhu, they will give you a free replacement, free of charge. If you have anything missing from your set, they'll send you a brand new 120 set, or, maybe 5 of those markers that were missing from your set. And if that does not satisfy you enough, they will give you a full refund and your money back. I really appreciate that when a company does that, when a company puts out a statement like that. And especially since Ohuhu has such a good name in their community, I do really trust them that is actually true about their product, because I've seen so much good reviews about them, and so much good customer service from them. So I really appreciate that. Next in this package of alcohol-based markers, we have a pre-made swatch sheet, which is also really generous of the company again, but I would also recommend making your own, even with Copics, even with, Banyo or Arteza, any alcohol-based markers. Make your own swatch sheet, because they are not always accurate. So I would make your own, and especially make that swatch sheet on the exact same paper you plan to use those markers on. If you're using a mixed media paper, take out a mixed media paper, a separate sheet from your sketchbook, and make a swatch sheet out of that. Do not use, watercolor paper or printer paper or sketching paper to make a swatch sheet. They come out completely different from those two different papers, because they're for two completely different mediums. Okay, so please, especially younger artists, make sure if you're making a swatch sheet, use the same paper for both your illustrations and both your swatch sheet. It'll just make everything a whole lot easier. Now, the last 3 products that are in this set of markers are a colorless blender, a plastic sheet to prevent bleeding on the next page, your table, and your sketchbook in general. And if you're using if you're drawing a much more bigger piece, like maybe like a 14 by 11 or a 16 by 18 piece, I would recommend rotating this little swatch thing, because this thing, it ain't that big. It's probably, I'd probably say it's probably the size of a 7 by 10 sketchbook, about that size, maybe a little smaller. But I would just rotate it, do section by section, divide your piece by 4 sections, or however big your piece is, and just to rotate that swatch sheet as you go. This way you don't bleed all over the place and you don't make a huge mess on your sketchbook or on your drawing table. And also this set also comes with a neat little travel bag, and I was able to take this bag with me when I went on a vacation 2 weeks ago. That's why I was so inactive on YouTube, but now I'm back, and I really liked it, but I think it's a bit flimsy. I think I kind of wish I just had something to at least separate some of the markers or have like little sections for different colors and stuff, but it still works for me because this thing was still very affordable, and I honestly really don't mind. Now that we've discussed about what comes with the set in general, let's talk about the markers itself, because that's what we're really here for, the markers. That's the most important thing in this whole set is the markers. So the markers are numbered, but not all of them have letters, so just make sure you don't confuse 81 for 18. But again, they are also color-coded, but the colors are not as accurate. So again, just make a swatch sheet, double check, have a separate other piece of paper so you can write down or draw the ink so you can see what it looks like before you actually apply it to the paper. This way you don't make a giant mistake in your art career and screw up a nice piece with just that one color. So just again, check yourself before you actually apply the color to your actual illustration. And another thing is that these are also a bullet nib and a chisel nib. The bullet nib is for the small details and the broad chisel is for the much more larger spaces. They both can blend beautifully, but just again, you just kind of have to build up a skill with these markers because they are cheaper, so they're a little bit much more difficult to work with than Copics, but they still work really, really good for 50 cents a marker. Next, let's talk about the marker's overall shape. The marker in this set of markers is actually not a circle. From far away, it looks like a circle, but it's actually much more of an oval. And this way, it's designed like that so your markers do not roll off of your desk. This way they don't go under the abyss of your bedroom or under your art desk and you'll never find them again. You gotta replace your whole set. So I really like that when markers make their markers, obviously, not a complete and full circle. They make them, a rectangle, a square, an oval, or an octagon. All types of shapes. So I really, really like that. And also, underneath the bullet nib at the end, there is a gray line to distinguish the chisel nib from the bullet nib, so you don't pull off the wrong nib, which I really like that because I know with the Artist Loft markers, they have that, and that's like one of the issues with them. That's why not a lot of people like them, because there's two gray lines. I think there's either two gray lines or there's no gray line on those markers, and it's just really hard to distinguish the brush nib from the chisel nib. So I really like that with these markers. Now that we've talked about the overall markers, let's talk about who these markers were initially intended for. These markers were obviously, at least in my opinion, intended for artists of any level. You don't have to be a professional or a beginner to afford these markers, but I think these markers were intended for an artist of any level who want to invest their money into a nice set of alcohol-based markers, but don't want to or don't have the money to afford Copics or Prismacolor because it's just not within their budget range. It's just too expensive for them to afford that. Maybe they're a broke college student and they can't afford Copic markers and they still want to do art commissions to help pay off with bills. These are a great option for people and artists who don't have the money or the financial needs to afford proper art supplies. So that's what I really like about these art supplies, and that they're really affordable, because me myself, I'm not a rich person. Obviously I would say I'm above middle class, but I still cannot be able to afford good quality art supplies, or at least the much more expensive stuff. I don't always have money to constantly replace supplies when they go out, so I really like it when this stuff is really cheap and affordable. So now that we've talked about who these were intended for, let's talk about the pros and the cons about these markers. And first I'm going to talk about the pros, then we'll go on with the cons, and then I'll probably give some tips for beginners, and then I'll put in my final thoughts and the end credits. But let's talk about the pros first, and that is how affordable these markers are compared to Copics. They are so much more cheaper than Copics, especially since these are only 50 cents a marker, and compared to Copics, which are usually about $3 to $9 with tax, and either Japan, America, or Canada, it's really expensive still. That's still a lot of money for just one marker. And also the colors are very nice and vibrant. And there is also a colorless blender in this set as well that is also included. Not only that, but you can also take these markers wherever you go. It comes with a tote bag, so that makes it really, really convenient. It also comes, like the set in general, comes with a very nice range of gray tones, which I really like because I do comics and stuff, so I really need a nice range of gray tones in my comic artwork, and also a nice range of vibrant colors in my artwork, so that's really important to me. Also, another pro that I liked is that if you have a dried marker or a damaged marker, you can always contact Ohuhu through email or phone call if you have any problems, and they'll replace it. Like I said before, they'll replace it if you have any issues. And you can also be able to layer color after color without having any difficulties of the paper getting eaten up or destroyed, like I don't know, watercolor markers. Those always eat up paper, and it's just really annoying when you worked on a piece so hard and then it just gets destroyed by a nice medium. So that's what I really like about these markers, that they do not eat up your paper. You can also use these markers alongside with other art products such as colored pencils, fine liners, jelly rolls, probably even acrylic paint, etc. You can also get two different types of nibs with this marker. You get a bullet nib and a chisel nib, and these markers can also blend really well for just 50 cents a marker. They do not blend as perfectly as Copics, but they do its job for 50 cents a marker, so that's a plus in my book. Now that we've discussed about all the positive stuff, let's talk about all the negative stuff, basically the cons of this product. And the first con for this product is that there is no brush nib. So if you want a brush nib marker, you're going to either have to go for a much more other cheaper alternative, like Art and Fly. I know they make brush nib markers that are really cheap, much more cheaper than the Copics. And also, Ohuhu just released a count of 48 on Amazon for these brush tip markers. It's only in 48, and it's also currently sold out, so I have no idea when it will come back on, but when it does, just keep your eye open for it. But yeah, so let's talk about back to the 120 set, and then maybe in the future I'll do a brush tip marker review. But these markers also will bleed through on most papers, especially if you're going to use printer paper. Please do not use printer paper or color pencil paper. I don't even want to say watercolor paper, mostly because I just don't know how well those work, because those are for different mediums. Obviously, color pencil paper is for colored pencils, watercolor paper is for watercolors, etc, etc. So just make sure you use either mixed media or marker paper. And if you can't find marker paper, just use the mixed media. It works pretty well for both. And also, another thing, that these markers are not light fast, but Copics aren't either. You can also you cannot buy refills for these markers or even individual markers from this brand. They don't have any of it available on Amazon or in their stores, so you cannot find refills or individual markers of this set. You can only find this brand on Amazon and on their personal website. You cannot find these markers in Walmart, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or any other retail store you probably think of that probably exists. You can only buy them online. And the cap also does not fit on the other end of the marker, so make sure that you don't lose it, so you have to have a dried out marker and you have to buy another set. Also, by the way, there is a potato brown in this set. Just letting you know, if any drawing with waffle fans out there is a potato brown, just letting you know, because I know Rin likes the color potato brown. And now for our last cons, the fact that some of the colors don't match the cap. So again, swatch before applying, and swatch on a separate sheet of paper, not on the same piece if you don't really want to. And here is our last con for this product, is that some of the numbers on the caps will scratch off as you use them. So I would recommend to either grab a Sharpie or a Posca pen and just rewrite that number on there as best as you can to your ability. This way, so you don't have markers that are all disorganized and the numbers are all over the place, and you forgot what that number looks like from the the swatches that you have. So I would recommend that the best if that happens to you, because it already happened to me, so I have to do that a couple of times with a Sharpie. But yeah, those are the rest of the cons for this product. Let's move on to my final thoughts. Anyway, my final thoughts on these markers is that I would definitely recommend these, especially if you're a struggling artist and cannot afford art supplies at the current moment. No, you should not even be ashamed that you can't afford art supplies. Art is a very hard industry to get into, and especially it's not a cheap industry. It's very expensive to get into, so you don't feel ashamed that you have to go for the much more cheaper stuff and you can't afford the expensive stuff. But this is definitely a product that I would recommend for those type of people that are in that current in that type of financial situation. And also these also make a wonderful Christmas gift, birthday gift, holiday gift, or graduation gift for any young inspiring artist who wants to get better at art and definitely wants to go into marker art without using water-based markers if they don't like water-based for some reason. But these are a wonderful gift and I would highly recommend them. 8 out of 10 for me. Anyway, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this marker or art supply product review. If you guys would like to support this channel, please make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're never the first, so you're like the first one that ever gets notified when I upload a new video. Please leave a like, please comment down below your thoughts and opinions on this product, and what do you think of these markers? Do you like them or do you hate them? Yay or nay? And also, I also have a DeviantArt and an Instagram if you guys like to follow me anywhere else on social media besides YouTube. And if you would like to donate to my PayPal, that's also much appreciated. Since this channel is not monetized, so I don't get any ad revenue out of it, which kind of sucks because these videos are not very easy to make. And also make sure to share the video on social media if you can. Anyway, have a wonderful day and stay rockin'.